The city of Mumbai has 43 lakh vehicles on its roads. Let me repeat that for you. 43 lakh vehicles on its road. To put that number in perspective, for every 1 kilometer of road, over 2,000 vehicles are fighting for space. Can you imagine that? This is the financial capital of our country, and over 2,000 cars are vying for space every kilometer. Needless to say, it is the most congested city in India. And no one should be surprised then that Mumbai has a massive parking crisis, a function of the high density of vehicles, of course, and the city's linear shape. It is a crisis so big that the court has often intervened. It intervened in 2021, asking how one flat could be allowed 4 to 5 cars. And it has intervened again now, asking the BMC for a comprehensive parking plan. The big problem, of course, is the number of vehicles on Mumbai's roads. In the last 1 decade, Mumbai's vehicle population has gone up by 112%. Let me repeat that. 112%. Private cars have gone up by 94%. They, though, occupy nearly 50% of the road space now. So the roads are bad enough. When we come to parking, the situation is actually worse. Presently, Mumbai has 48,000 parking spaces. That's definitely not enough for the city's 43 lakh vehicles. In August 2022, the BMC announced that it will soon add 1,262 more four-wheeler parking spaces in the city. The plan was to construct multi-story public parking lots at Matunga, Mumbai Devi and Flora Fountain. This in addition to the 30 parking towers, as they are called, already that exist, apart from public amenities where cars can be parked. Did that plan work out? Well, clearly not. The Mumbai High Court has now questioned the Maharashtra government and also the Mumbai civic body. The question is, what happened to the efforts that were being taken to assign designated parking spaces? They want a plan and they want it now. But will more parking spaces solve the issue? One estimate is telling us that only 45% of Mumbai's allocated parking space is currently being utilized. There have been a few suggestions, of course, more parking lots or even parking in private buildings. There could be even a stricter penalty on parking on streets. But with the amount of vehicles that Mumbai already has, just parking space will not solve that problem. Most experts say that public transport is the only way out. The fewer the cars, the more the space there will be. So what will it be for the maximum city? Maximum parking or minimum use of private vehicles? Let me first go across to my reporter, Shrishti, who is joining us live from the streets of Mumbai. This is a touchy topic for the people of Mumbai. They have got used to not getting parking every time they are out. Let's hear from them, and let's hear from them about what they think of the High Court's intervention into the matter now. Shrishti, it's over to you.
Definitely, Shreya. Let's try and talk to people here in Mumbai who suffers the traffic problem, road problem, and the problems which comes across while living in this city and faces them every now and then. Sir, ट्रैफिक का जो इशू है और पार्किंग का भी एक इशू है साथ-साथ, क्या लगता है उसके बारे में? हमने आपको बताया था कि बॉम्बे हाई कोर्ट ने जो है बीएमसी को फटकार लगाई है कि एक ग्राउंड रिपोर्ट दीजिए जिसमें प्लान बताया जाएगा कि कैसे हम पार्किंग का जो प्रॉब्लम है सॉल्व करेंगे शहर में. क्या लगता है आपको?
देखिए, जैसे कि हम लोग बॉम्बे के रेसिडेंट हैं, आज 36 इयर्स हो गए हम लोग यहीं पे हैं. आई हैव बीन ट्रैवलिंग फ्रॉम अंधेरी टू चर्च गेट टुडे. ठीक है, मैं अंधेरी से चर्च गेट आया हूँ क्राफर्ड मार्केट में. ये 2 व्हीलर लेके आया हूँ. पूरे रास्ते भर में ट्रैफिक है, खाली हॉकिंग के लिए, ना ही कहीं पे भी पार्किंग की जगह नहीं. आप ये सोचिए, इतना बड़ा प्रीमाइसेस है. क्राफर्ड मार्केट इज अ मेन हब. ये है जवेरी बाजार, ये साइड में मंगलदास मार्केट, जहाँ पे पार्किंग के नाम की भी कोई चीज नहीं है. पार्किंग नाम की कोई चीज नहीं है. अगर आप देखो, यहाँ पे चौकी है, यहाँ पे पार्किंग होना चाहिए था, स्पॉट होना चाहिए था. वहाँ पे पार्किंग का एक स्पेस है जहाँ पे पार्किंग चार्जेस लिया जाता है, दैट टू इलीगल. उसमें कुछ लीगल है, कुछ इलीगल है, जिनसे रेसिप्ट मांगो तो वो भी नहीं दिया जाता है। आप देखो अगर वहाँ पे 4 व्हीलर का पार्किंग का चार्जेस 100 to 200 रुपये ले रहे हैं, लेकिन 2 व्हीलर का आप देखो कोई गारंटी नहीं है। आपकी गाड़ी का गारंटी आपको खुद को लेना है। दे आर नॉट रिस्पॉन्सिबल ऑल्सो। इन दिस केस बीएमसी हैज टू डू समथिंग फॉर दी कॉमन पीपल। आपने बीएमसी का फंड होता है कुछ 35,000 करोड़ एंड ऑल दिस थिंग्स, लेकिन आम जनता के लिए आपने क्या किया है? आम जनता के लिए आप एटलीस्ट कुछ तो सुविधा दो। रोड आप देखो आधे से ज्यादा पोत होल है। वो आदमी अगर कुछ होगा तो कौन जिम्मेदारी है? आप टैक्स ले रहे हो, हर चीज ले रहे हो, लेकिन इन रिटर्न हमको हमारा सर्विस तो दीजिए। एक कॉमन आदमी कैसा जिएगा? आप उसके बारे में भी तो सोचना चाहिए इनको।
सर, आपको लगता है कि बेसिक जो नीड्स है वही सेटिस्फाई नहीं हो रही है कॉमन?
एग्जैक्टली आप देखो ना, अब ये देखो कितना क्राउडेड एरिया है पूरा। अगर आप एक क्राउडेड एरिया में अगर आपको आना जाना है, आप कहाँ जाओगे, कैसा जाओगे? आप बताओ। अगर आपके पास 2 व्हीलर है, आदत अब इतनी महंगाई बढ़ गई तो हम लोग तो कोई मॉल में जाके खरीद नहीं सकते कोई चीज उतना। यहाँ पे कुछ चीज थोड़ा इजी मनी है, थोड़ा सस्ते में मिल जाता है तो हम यहाँ पे आते हैं। लेकिन अगर उसमें भी एक बाइक के ऊपर आप देख रहे हो, अभी आजकल तो पुलिस वाले उन्होंने डायरेक्ट फोटो निकाल के, कुछ रीजन भी नहीं दे रहे, डायरेक्ट फोटो निकाल के आपको फाइन आ जाता है कि बाबा आपकी बाइक पे 200 रुपए का फाइन है, आपकी बाइक पे 500 रुपए का फाइन है। एक आम आदमी फाइन भरेगा कैसा इतना? और उसका रीजन भी नहीं। डिस्प्यूट करने कहाँ जाएंगे? किससे बात हम डिस्प्यूट करेंगे? हाउ कैन वी डिस्प्यूट ऑन दिस? उसका भी कोई लीगल हमारे पास रेमेडीज नहीं है।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू फॉर ज्वाइनिंग अस सर। So this is exactly the problem which Mumbaikar faces. He talked about the problem of inflation. He talked about the problem of parking. He talked about the problem of traffic in this particular city. So right now I'm standing here in Crawford Market, and definitely this is a hustling and bustling market of Mumbai, and people obviously comes across in this city, and they try and get their own space everywhere they commute and travel. Let's try and talk to a few more people over here. Sir, आप बताइए, मुंबई में ट्रैफिक का बहुत प्रॉब्लम है, क्या लगता है आपको इसके बारे में? So some people are not ready to talk as they face this problem every now and then. People are literally fed up of this problem. But yes, Bombay High Court has slammed BMC and asked the reply within 4 weeks.
Okay, Shrishti, we'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much, Shrishti, there giving us voices from some very harassed people who've had to struggle with parking for 35, 40 years. The BMC, though, is saying that only about 45% space of public parking currently that is available in the city is used up by the 43 lakh vehicles in the city. So is designated parking lots the problem, or is the problem that people do not want to park in these designated parking lots and they would rather park on the roads and the streets because 90% times this parking is free? I'm going to put that question to our guests this evening and also ask them, given the space crunch in the city of Mumbai, is it even possible for the High Court or anyone else to fix the city's parking problems? Advocate Savina Crasto is a lawyer of the petitioner who had actually gone to court, on whose case the court has ruled today. She's joining us on the broadcast. Dr. Sudhir Krishna is a former secretary of the Ministry of Urban Development, joining us on the broadcast. Shailesh Sinha is CEO of the Traffic People Foundation, and Neville Mehta is the CEO of Mumbai First. Of course, I'm going to come to the advocate first, the lawyer first. Savina Crasto, why did your client go to court?
So basically what had happened was that this dates back to 2018 in December, when there was a fire which engulfed the society. And when the fire engulfed the society, the fire brigade, when they were called, what happened was that the fire brigade came to the society, but as they approached the society, the vehicles which were parked on both sides of the road, that caused the fire brigade to not enter the place in time. And the fire report specifically mentioned that the delay caused because the entire fire that took place was at midnight, and by the time they could remove the cars, get the cars off the spaces where they had parked, by then the fire had spread, because of which 5 senior citizens lost their life because the vehicle could not get into the premises of the society. And in their report, they have specifically mentioned that the reason for this was the parking on both sides of the road, because of which the fire ambulance could not enter into that particular society and save the people. So that was the main cause, and thereafter, subsequent events also led to the petitioner, the society, to feel that, okay, there is a need to do something about the parking. And when they came to the firm and when they approached us, even though they had written to the respondents, who are the BMC and the state government, to see that what can be done as far as the parking is concerned, since they did not get any response from them, they thought that they must take up this issue. And therefore, when they approached us, we also felt that
Okay.
the court is the only way that we can get through and see that this solution, a solution or a comprehensive policy can be put into place so that this menace of car parking can be stopped.
Neville Mehta, you're the CEO of Mumbai First. Now, this is not the first time, of course, that the High Court has intervened. The High Court had intervened in 2021 as well. The headline in the newspapers back then was the High Court asking why one flat should have 4 to 5 cars. And that was a very valid question that the High Court asked. The High Court, in fact, had even asked the BMC for a comprehensive parking plan. That comprehensive parking plan doesn't exist. So in 2022, the court has once again said, where is that comprehensive parking plan? But my question to you is this. For a moment, let's look at the statistics that the BMC and the Mumbai Parking Authority, which is yet to do anything about the parking crisis in Mumbai, is telling us. They are saying that only about 45% space of parking lots is used up by 43 lakh vehicles in Mumbai, which means that the problem is not really about the lack of parking spaces. We have these 30 parking towers or multi-space parkings, etc. The problem is that people don't want to park in designated parking slots. They want to park on the roads on both sides because it's free and it's probably more convenient.
I don't think what you mention is that people don't want to park in designated parking slots because it's free. I think this is something which is a misnomer. People would love to be secured and their vehicle to be secured if the parking was made available. The question is, you can't just create a tower with car parking lots and say use it. It doesn't work that way. First of all, why would somebody park a car a couple of kilometers away and have no type of facility for him to be brought in and out? You are asking for something which is going to be difficult for people, especially elderly people or people who have an issues or with walking too many, walking a distance or so. So besides creating areas, designated areas, there should be also facilities like a shuttle service, all paid. Nobody wants anything free and nobody expects anything free in a city like Mumbai. So buying one, get one free is a misnomer, I think, then. So nobody is here cribbing about the money that has to go for it. But the facilities that need to be given to people to park their cars are not there. Even the car slots which are available, designated car slots, are not secure. When you're talking about each car flat having 4 car parking spaces, the fire brigade is also to be involved. Why are they not allowing garages to be used to park cars? Garages are in the societies being used to open up shops and using as warehouses instead of parking cars. So if that also is done, then you don't need to have 4 car parking space when you have garages to park your car, which are filled with stuff which is not meant for those garages. So, this is more comprehensive. I don't think you can pinpoint a finger at one particular reason. It needs to be, you need to sit together and brainstorm and get everybody involved in this.
So, which is why in 2019, the entire idea of the Mumbai Parking Authority was floated. I don't think any work happened on it for 2 years because of COVID, etc. And now in 2021, if I'm not mistaken, they have reconvened or reconstituted. But Shailesh Sinha, just come in here. In a city as starved for space as Mumbai, Mumbai, can you ever create enough parking? In the last 1 decade, the number of vehicles in the city of Mumbai have gone up 100%, in fact 112%. Now, if that is, your space is finite, your space is not expanding, but the number of cars on the roads of the city are expanding. Every family wants at least 2 to 3 cars. In a situation like that, it's easy to blame the authority and say they are not doing anything, which is why we are parking on the slot, which is why there is congestion, and the court is pulling up the BMC. But is the BMC the only body that is to blame here? Of course, they haven't done their job. I'll take it. And I'll even take the, I'll even take the point that Nivelle is making, that you can't have these multi-story parkings come up in areas which are 3 to 4 kilometers away from, commercial areas or residential areas. People will not walk to and fro from these areas to their homes or the market. I take that as well. But the fact also is that every family in Mumbai, most families in Mumbai have at least 2 to 3 cars.
Say one thing first and foremost, is that parking is a dynamic issue. It keeps changing. Certain places have some rollover time. Same space is used 3 or 4 times in one day, right? So we need to take those things also in analysis, right? How to manage the parking. Parking management plan has to be there in system, which is to be replicated by some European countries where the parking issue has already been there few decades ago or maybe a decade ago. See, India is an aspirational country, I'm telling you. And car buying is also the biggest aspiration a person has in his life, right? Number one. Number two, first the car was aspirational, now the parking has become aspirational. And being a cramped city like Mumbai and the speed at which the cars number is increasing, we need to take care of certain aspects when it comes to my own self thought process also. Because if I buy 2 or 3 cars, I am actually adding on to the space value. I am buying the car, but I'm not buying the space for the car. That is actually the issue. In Mumbai city, cars are parked on the roadsides, on footpaths, because that's convenient. So the BMC or any authority, they need to take first and foremost thing into consideration. Number one is the public transport has to be in shape, and there has to be a culture, an education system which needs to, evolve amongst the people that yes, this is my city and public vehicle is for my good, my parking good, my pollution good, my everything has to be taken care by my own self, and the authority needs to take care of every aspect which needs to be in conjunction with the convenience that also includes parking. So as a citizen, I also need to curtail my buying of cars. Only authorities should not be blamed for every mess in the city.
Okay. Dr. Sudhir Krishna, there have been some suggestions on how Mumbai's parking problem can be solved. And one of the things that has been said is that any car that needs to be registered in the city of Mumbai, first show us whether you have parking space for it. Only if you have parking space for the car can you buy the car. Is that a viable plan? Will that work? Because the High Court has asked the BMC and the Maharashtra government for a comprehensive parking plan for Mumbai. I'm again wondering, given the space crunch in the city, how much can you do?
On one hand, this is a sound idea, and it has been mooted by different courts, different high courts in the country from time to time. But this is a flip side also. Because we should not enforce anything, any harsh measure without, looking at the fallout of the measure. And as to why these people are going to buy too many cars, it is not just a fancy. Maybe for a very minuscule population, it is fancy to buy many cars. Roads have become such that walkways are not at all safe. People do not find it convenient to walk, even adults. And of course, they shudder to send their children for, buying something from half kilometer or 200 meters even away by going by walk. So people are generally forced to use the vehicle. And that is one reason. We have to go to fundamentals as to why the vehicles are more. I agree that, we should not be encouraging buying of of vehicle, and there should be restriction of various kinds, and that is why the registration fees for car have been enhanced and the insurance premium is also going up. But despite that, people are inclined to buy cars for one reason, that alternative mobility solutions, which are, called the non-motorized solutions, cycles. Can you take your cycle? Can you send your child on cycle to, go to school or even a kilometer away? You yourself feel shaky in using bicycle. Therefore, people are finding it, more and more difficult to use non-motorized transport, whether it is walking or whether it is bicycles. So therefore, cars are increasing. So fundamentally, that is one issue which has to be resolved. Even car parking, as the other panelists also said, that parking lots are developed, but after parking car, you're in the parking lot, everything is not 2 kilometers away. Even if it is 200 meters away, you want to walk, but you can't comfortably walk. You can't safely walk for even 200 meters from parking lot to your destination, maybe a shopping area or so. So that is second. So it is, as far as planning part is concerned, these are crucial issues. Of course, enforcement issues are there. That it is true that parking lots, being nearby, Bombay may have its own issue. Every city has similar issue with different variant. And there are, what you said in the beginning of this program, that parking lots are not being fully utilized and people are parking, in nearby open areas.
Correct.
But it has to be, the law does not allow that. Motor Vehicles Act has got several provisions that you cannot park vehicle to cause inconvenience to people in unauthorized parking, and there is a fine on that. So that law has to be enforced. And thirdly, within the parking lot, the management of parking lot, within the lot, people do not know that there is when you enter a parking area, how much do you know that it is where the place is? Unless the guy there tells you, you do not know whether to enter inside and you will find a parking space. Where will you find? So there are standards for management of parking lots, which the Bureau of Indian Standard has developed, which is IS 37456. Which gives the parameters for management of parking lots. So scientifically, we have to manage parking lots where parking lots can be optimally utilized. And furthermore, within the residential areas, there are new residential areas coming up. They provide parking lots, but the older residential areas, which were developed, there was no idea that so many cars will be there. Or either somebody will have one car or maybe two-wheeler or no car. Suddenly you find every house has got one or two cars. So that is how these problems. So in the residential area also parking lots have been developed. Yes. And of course there are other issues also. But
So Sailesh Sinha, I want you to come in here. Look, there's a people problem as well. I don't want to put it all on the BMC's head, and I'm going to get Advocate Savina Crasto as well on the issue. The fact is that, yes, I understand and buy the point that if there is a multi-level parking 2 kilometers away from a mall or even 500 meters away from a mall, people don't want to park there. I see that in Delhi as well. Massive multi-level parking right next to the mall, people will not go park there. So any time of the day, whether it's the weekend or it's a weekday, you will find that parking space empty. That entire space empty, maybe the occupancy is around 20%. Inside the mall, people are ready to walk for 3 kilometers and spend the entire day there. But you will not park at a designated parking area. Again, I say, is this also not a problem, a behavioral problem as far as the people of Mumbai are concerned? Everyone just wants to park on the roads.
Behavioral thing, number one. And what I'm about to tell you is that there indeed are parking spaces. As I just mentioned the moment I started, that parking is a dynamic issue, right? And dynamic issue means that, it keeps changing. The zone keeps changing when it comes to changing of cars at the same point in time, right? And at the night time or at any point in time, residential areas are normally vacant during peak hour, during daytime, and commercial zones are duly packed during, working hours time. So we need to take this management into due thought that yes, certain management has to be taken when it comes to shifting of parking from one zone to another, right? The malls needs to be taken into consideration when it comes to giving convenience to parking, because if some residential zone is around or if some official zone is around, the mall should have a license, and the parking guy, the person who's parking the car should have the license that yes, he should have the right to park at a nominal rate, nominal cost. Because if the conveniences are given any given point in time, people want convenience. My point is that the management needs to take care of these things very well. Railway stations, airports, bus stations, they are normally, even malls. The current scenario for the last 1 decade has become malls. So 4 places are there which can be properly utilized if done the things in a right way. The point is only management. When the zone needs parking, normally these zones already have 30 to 40% of spare parking. So the management needs to be there. Plus the public convenience, conveyance part has to be, the bridging part from office to that mall area, from office to that airport zone has to be there, so that for the convenience part. Yeah.
So you're saying so you're saying that it is a management problem more than a space crunch. That is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Savina Crasto, before I end this discussion, I want to come. Okay, before I come to you, before I end this discussion, I want to come to you, Savina. The fact is that the BMC has also come up with some harebrained ideas, and one of those ideas was that if there is a residential building or a society and there is some spare parking there, then maybe that can be converted into a parking lot for some point of time. That, of course, has been shot down. The residential societies and colonies absolutely refuse to open up their parking for outside parking, etc. But I want to ask you, whatever happened to the Mumbai Parking Authority? Does that exist? Does that not exist? And if it exists, why did it take the court today to ask the BMC where the parking policy is, where the city's parking policy is? Because that exactly is the job of the Mumbai Parking Authority. So what were they doing? What have they been doing since 2019?
Correct. So here, the entire petition which was filed was specifically with regards to roads which are 20 feet and less or 30 feet and less, wherein for emergency vehicles, you need a specific feet so that they can go through the entire road and attend to if there is any kind of an emergency situation. Now, what the authorities had to do is to identify that which are these areas wherein there are cars or there are trucks or there are heavy vehicles which are parked on either sides of the road, thereby making it difficult for emergency vehicles to pass by. But parking by itself, like very rightly said, is a very dynamic concept. Now, here we need to understand that along with convenience, we also need to consider the other aspects that, okay, what the authorities can do, giving to understand that there is a crunch which they themselves are facing. But management here is very, very important. What they need to do is just apply. There is a law specifically to deal with this. There are DC regulations also wherein specifically it is mentioned that what should be the parking policy. As far as this is concerned, all that they need to do is that to see that they only implement whatever is told to them or whatever is given in by the books. So that is all that they need to do.
Okay, we'll leave it there for the moment. This has been an interesting chat. The question is, can Mumbai's parking problems be solved? The High Court has intervened twice now in 2 years. The BMC has been asked to come up with a plan, but most of the panelists on this show seem to think that it is not a space issue. Mumbai's parking problem is not a space issue. It is a management issue. We'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us. I'm slipping into a quick break.